Why pay the regular price when you can save money on every purchase with WagerBooks at both WagerTalk and SportsMemo? WagerBucks are now eligible for use on not just daily, 3-day, and 7-day passes, but all long-term and seasonal packages up to 1 full year. There are tons of options available for every budget and size of bettor. From low as $100 gets $110, all the way up to $2,500 gets you $3,000. Save every day on every pick you buy with WagerBucks.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to WagerTalk Today. I am feeling slightly better, a little bit more energy. Steve Merrill is joining us, and you are watching the best daily sports betting show on the planet. We got Kelly Stewart up first. She's going to talk NBA. And then we got Tony Finn. He's going to talk some NBA and some baseball, although Tony didn't send in what he wanted to talk about, so maybe we won't let him talk baseball, Steve. Maybe we'll punish him. And Andrew McInnis, who, like always, sends his plays in advance. He's going to talk UFC, Zhang versus Jed, blah, 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 blah. And the CFL, Calgary Stampeders against the Montreal Alouettes. Steve, how are you, my brother? How did you do last night? I had a 2-0 night for my clients and a 2-0 night in the daily presidential address. How did you do, bro?
Split on the best bets, went 1-1, but we did cash the free play that was on the site. And of course, a lot of people play those. And that just happened to be the big game breakdown yesterday, which once again, Prez, never in doubt. Toronto Blue Jays, your Toronto Blue Jays, Tony Mejia's Toronto Blue Jays, big 5% $2 Tuesday winner for Tony, by the way, on the Blue Jays. And, Prez, you and I talked about it. If you play these good teams, instead of laying the 240, play the run in the half minus 140. That's what I gave out here on the show. But then you and I took it a step further. We said, oh, yeah, let's look at those adjusted run lines, right? Minus 2.5, minus 3.5, minus 6.5 because they won 7-0. But in all seriousness, this is an angle that continues to work. I keep talking about how the Dodgers have been money in the bank the last couple of years. But what's crazy about it is it's not that they win by margin. They either win by 2 or more, or they usually lose outright, which means you can be taking the other team at plus money. The other takeaway also, once again, on that, I'll piggyback on that play once again, is that, on Monday we played against the Angels, the coldest team in baseball. They'd lost 11 in a straight. Red Sox beat them 1-0. Yesterday we played against the worst team in baseball all year, the Kansas City Royals. Blue Jays, good offensive team, good current form. They won 7-0. It's not easy, but sometimes people do overthink it. A lot of the sharp bettors love to take, plus money. Sherapan mentioned yesterday, the sharps love to take plus 1.5 plus money on these teams. Ugly teams are always a dangerous bet in any sport, and it's something I've changed over my 25 plus years as a handicapper. When I started in the 90s, I was all contrarian. It worked very well in the NFL. I know Kelly, who's coming on, is a contrarian bettor. But sometimes you got to pick your spots, and contrarian is not always the way to go. You got to at least make sure the team can show up. Angels on an 11-game losing streak. Royals, the worst team in baseball. Those aren't the type of teams you can trust to show up. And just kind of a handicap in 101 angle I wanted to talk about before we get to today's show.
So, Steve, you're saying that you could make a fair amount of money taking the Jays minus 2.5 and the other team if they are plus money on the money line. Do them both.
Yeah, one of the problems you get in baseball is that it's a good sport to bet because the money line, a lot of sports books, is a 10-cent line, which is half of what a football or basketball line is. It's minus 110 each way is a 20-cent line. The problem with baseball, though, when you start to get to those big favorites, and I know minus $2 favorites, Teddy's talked about, have done very well the last few years, but you're still talking about like that Blue Jay line was a 40-cent line last night. So one thing I like about the run lines, again, is you're getting it back down to a 20-cent line. The underdogs on the money line sometimes are reasonably priced as well. You just got to make sure that split doesn't get too big. But I would think if you've gone back and looked, that's probably made you – I know it's made money in the Dodger games. First 51 games this year, 47 of them were either outright losses or 2-run wins or more. So that was definitely an angle that's worked for a lot of teams.
I can see Kelly Stewart writing, taking notes as we speak. Steve, so – I have a woman, Vivian. I talk about her on the show. And every now and again, like I'll go to the grocery store and Vivian would be like, you can't go to the grocery store looking that good. I'm like, What are you talking about? I'm an old freaking man. She's like, oh, girls are going to jump all over you. You're going to have a lineup of women at the grocery store wanting to date you. And I'm like, have you lost your freaking mind? For the record, that's never happened. Have you ever gone to the store and had some youngin' or some hot woman drape herself all over you out of the blue?
Now, as I say, most of the people I see at the grocery store aren't exactly Class A, so I'm not sure that would be too much of an issue. But the good news is that you know judo in case it happens, Prez. You can buy some chocolate milk. There we go. Kung Fu Chop.
So Kelly goes to Disneyland yesterday. What happened from there, Kel?
Uh-oh.
As I did not go to anywhere named Disney. I went to Universal Studios. We took my niece and let her bring a friend. It is not the same thing, first and foremost. Also, shout out to all the help on Twitter. We ended up changing our tickets from Universal to Islands of Adventure, and we bought the fast passes. According to Johnny Detroit, he said that was the thing to do. We had an absolute blast. I feel like I got hit with a baseball bat. We rode the Hulk 3 times in a row because there was no line for the fast pass, and I might have a mild concussion today. Just got back to my house about 6 minutes ago. Dan said, you're up first. I said, I'm always up at 12:20. He said, oh, not today. Teddy's gone. Prez is calling all these audibles. So I threw myself together. But what Prez is referring to was pretty funny. And going back to the grocery store comment, I usually get my groceries delivered. I like to work from home. Time is money. If I can, in between shows, pick out all my groceries, what I want, and have them delivered to my house and get them after the next show, it's way easier than going. But I will say this. Vivian has nothing to worry about. The people that have balls to hit on other people at the grocery store are rarely
what the hell, Kel?
They're not good-looking people. I was at Home Depot the other day, and some guy, and I'm like, damn, do I look that bad that this man thinks that he can hit on me?
When I'm mobbed, I won't be interested. Oh, that's the spin.
No, it's just the caliber of person. Your girlfriend is incredibly hot. She's amazing, and it has nothing to do with you. It just has to do with, I don't think that.
What happened?
So ride number 44, I am just like so defeated. We get in this water ride. We ride it 3 times in a row. I mean, soaked. Like those human dryers that they have, it would have done me no good. And the girls are like, can we ride by ourselves? And I'm like, go for it. Just like, you can't go anywhere. Like, I see you get on, I see you get off. You're not going to get kidnapped here. And like, during that whole 35 seconds of peace that I had at all yesterday, I'm sitting there looking at my phone, just dripping, right? Just like dripping water off of me. And some kid walks by and goes, look at you all over there soaked and alone. And I'm like, he's like, do you need a man? And I'm like, I was so floored by it. I just looked and I was like, what? I probably made like some stanky old lady face at him. And then I realized there's no way he was 18 years old. Absolutely under any circumstances was this kid 18 years old. And good for him. He had a pair of balls and thought he would say something funny. I laughed after the fact. That's why I tweeted it, Prez. But it really wasn't. In the moment, I think I was just so like, who's talking to me? Can I just have like, just 5 seconds of zen? I just got demolished on every roller coaster in the park today. Like I'm soaking wet and it's 8 p.m. and they're kicking us out due to lightning. Like,
Kel, what's up with the hair color? Is it green?
No, you know what it is? I actually, because I jumped on so fast, I have a new blue screen. So apparently as a blonde, you're supposed to use a blue screen, not a green screen. And so Dan and I did not have our normal few minutes of tuning my color, and I had a feeling this may happen. But don't you worry, Prez. I think I can fix myself by, doing some different stuff. Dan said he's on it in the background. We have NBA to talk about. Let's be real. See? Just got to lighten myself up.
Honestly, could care less about the color of your hair. So don't worry. I am legitimately
well, no, but
you're
going to see in the comments, just like the picture of me in Louisiana where I look like I gained 20 pounds. Everybody had a heyday with that one. It's all about the angles, people. And that was the worst photo I've ever seen of myself in my life. Anyway, that being said, I don't have green hair. Sorry, Prez. Sorry, haters on the internet. I don't have green hair.
Well,
maybe it is green from all the chlorine yesterday. Maybe it is. And maybe I need to run to the hair salon and not do all my
It's because you rode that water ride 4 times in a row. It's exactly what happened. Hey, look at the bright side, Kelly. You can now go to the grocery store today and not have to worry.
Yes. Great success.
Steve, I'm going to set up the NBA now, okay?
I'm sorry. I'll stop talking so much today. I've overdone it.
Yeah, you know, Steve.
No, he's so used to Teddy. He's used to Teddy, who sits there and rolls his eyes and makes dirty faces.
Yeah, I was way overboard in that segment.
The funniest thing about Teddy is when he does the lean. You know, he leans forward, and you just know, oh God. Anyway, Kel, Boston -3.5. It's game 3 tonight. Many days rest. I don't understand why, but the total is 212.5. How should we bet this game?
I think it's because the NBA is trying to stretch it out as far as they can at this point, Prez. We had a couple of series early and quickly, and so the NBA is scheduling, they like to run it till late June. So they're going to run it till late June, regardless if there's only 2 teams left or not. This is an interesting game, and I'll be really honest with you guys. I don't know if I'm going to fully get involved. If I do, I will tweet it out. Right after this, I'm doing Jay Money's show, so we're going to break this down even further if you want more analysis than just this quick one. But I'll be honest with you. You got Golden State, who collapsed in the fourth quarter of game 1. Then you've got the Celtics, who do what the Celtics do best, and that is just come out so flat out of half. I have never seen a worse third quarter team in my life, though it has been really good for their unders. This is a tough one. I'm not laying it with the Celtics at home. I definitely am not getting to the window on the side for either team. This is a Warriors team that can get hot, especially from 3. But I do believe I'm going to be on the under tonight. 12-3 in the last 15 meetings of these two teams to the under. We all know, Steve just said it, I'm kind of a contrarian person. Everybody thinks that we're going to get this Warriors team out there just lighting it up. And that's really the only way I think the Celtics can beat them, is the Celtics have to shoot like they did in game 1. Draymond Green said that wasn't going to happen again, and he was right. And guess who wussed out and didn't take the under? This guy. I'm going to look at it a little bit further, but most likely going to be on the under tonight.
Yeah, so Kelly, I'll do my Teddy impersonation. Prez is bringing it out of me. I've been nice and quiet all day, and he keeps poking at me. He keeps poking the Bears. So I'll say, the reason, Prez, they're stretching this out is because they have to go across the country from Golden State, San Francisco to Boston. So they give them the extra day. There'll just be one day of rest, and they will play Friday in Boston. And then they're going to take the weekend off, which is really weird. No Saturday or Sunday because they got to go back to Golden State. Then they'll take 2 days off. They got to go back to Boston because they're doing the 2-2-1-1-1 instead of the 2-3-2. And it's a huge travel thing. But they do stretch it out, obviously, for TV and for dramatic effect. Kelly, have you looked at any player props, anything jump out to you? I mean, one thing that jumped out to me was that 3 of the Celtics starters had exactly 2 points in the last game. Obviously, that's something they can't have repeat this time. Al Horford had 26, well above his average, and he had 2 in the last game. He regressed as I thought he would. Have you been dabbling in any of the player props or anything else you're looking at?
So I don't personally handicap player props, Steve. I never have, but I am lucky enough to be in a circle with people that do. And last game, we took Jason Tatum over. I do think that he's going to have to be their playmaker. If they want to win this game, they're going to need another big game from Jason Tatum. I'd be looking at his over there as well. And then you kind of got to look at, okay, is Robert Williams III going to be in tonight, right? He still has a big question mark next to his name. And that kind of gives you a sense on if you want to be looking towards some other role players props. I personally have not bet anything, but the one that I do have circled, and I cannot wait to get that text, is Jason Tatum over. Happened again, even though the Celtics just absolutely came out flat in that second half. Jason Tatum is able to prop that team up. So we'll see if he can't do it again tonight in Boston.
Kelly Stewart joining us, everyone. Kel, real quick, just to stick with this NBA, whoever covers tonight, or whoever wins tonight, are you betting the other team the next night? Is this going to zigzag for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's been zigzagging for our producer, Joe Ranieri. I mean, for weeks now, he's been preaching in the group chat for the Hustle Pod, which is tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. We'll get him on to talk about his zigzag theory, but it has been. And I feel like it's a little too basic of a strategy for me. If it correlates, Prez, with the numbers, then absolutely. But I'm not blindly zigzagging, no.
Tampa Bay last night, Kelly, put your city back into the semifinals. 2-2 now against the Rangers. Have you gone to any games? Are you betting any hockey?
I did have the under last night with my good friend Ben. He is my local hockey guy up in, well, kind of your neck of the woods, Woodstock, Canada. And so he shared that one with me. I'm going to try to get to at least one game. But this is an interesting series because I'm a huge Ryan Reeves fan. Rangers came out, bang, bang in New York, just beat up on the Tampa Bay Lightning, and then even started that in game 3. So to see the Lightning come out very dominant last night was exciting. Lightning currently minus 170 in the series price, even though the series is tied. I'm still sticking with my Lightning to the Stanley Cup. Hopefully they play the Avs so I can get my brother-in-law to give me some side bets here, see if we can't have some fun. But yeah, Tampa Bay is kind of my new little adopted team since the Golden Knights just can't get it done for me.
Kelly Stewart, everyone. Kel, you are the busiest person in sports betting. You got a million shows going. The hustle has been really well received. What else is on your schedule?
Yeah, the hustle was fun. We did a live show just last week in New York City. We're going to be there doing another show again tonight, 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific. I've got Jay Money up next. We're going to be kicking off here at 1 Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. And right after that, I'll be hitting up Money Shots with Megan Making Money. We're going to be talking some baseball, some NBA, and even some college baseball. So since we're headed into the College Baseball World Series, it's exciting times, and there's some money to be made. I've been following some really sharp groups. And these underdogs are rather scrappy, if you will, just because of the way that the series, they have to lose 2 games. So kind of keeping an eye out for that. But yeah, it's going to be a fun next couple of weeks. I'm basically getting ready for football season, Prez. That's why I told you it's going to be my last show, at least as far as the NBA goes. I feel like we're kind of winding down things, and I've just got to start gearing up for football.
Yep. And football's right around the corner, which... good in one hand, bad in the other. I wish life would slow down. Kelly Stewart, everyone. Kel, thanks so much for joining us. Steve, before we get into take a break and come back, we got your big game breakdown. I just want to make mention to everybody, Sports Memo's got a really cool promotion going on today. So head over to sportsmemo.com. Literally, it's spin to win. You give us your email address, and then you spin a spin wheel. I don't know what it's called.
A virtual spin wheel.
You can win $500, baseball season, 33% off anything in the cart, 50% off of a daily play, 30 days of MLB, and on and on and on. And hey, it's always fun to spin something. So head over to sportsmemo.com. Check that out. Steve, get ready. We're going to take a quick break. We got your big game breakdown coming. Maybe Tony Finn, and definitely Andrew McInnis. Stay with us, everyone.
Why pay the regular price when you can save money on every purchase with WagerBooks at both WagerTalk and SportsMemo? WagerBooks are now eligible for use on not just daily, 3-day, and 7-day passes, but all long-term and seasonal packages up to 1 full year. There are tons of options available for every budget and size of bettor. From low as $100 gets $110, all the way up to $2,500 gets you $3,000. Save every day on every pick you buy with WagerBooks.
It's time for a little big game breakdown for Wednesday, June the 8th. Wednesday night, June the 8th. Major League Baseball style. Of course, we'll get to that in just a moment. Back-to-back shutout winners on the show this week on Monday and Tuesday here in MLB by combined 8-0. We're going to try to keep that going with another, I think, a small, medium-sized favorite tonight that I think will roll in Major League Baseball. I'll get to that in just a moment. Quick reminder, though, NBA Game 3, NBA Finals does resume tonight on Wednesday. Celtics and Warriors, of course. NBA tip-off, 4:15 Eastern for in-depth preview of Joe Ranieri. I'll be on with Jay Money as well. Also, I have a strong 5% best bet going tonight in Game 3 of the NBA Finals. This is the strongest play I've seen in quite a while, and it goes tonight backed by a 33-1 super situation, which I give you in the analysis. If you want to win tonight in the NBA Finals, check out NBA tip-off, 4:15 Eastern, and get that 5% best bet. Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com. Let's get to a game that was just a bit outside from making the cut tonight in Major League Baseball, but I still think it's worth a look. You know, I treat my best bets as 3-4% plays, strong 5% in the NBA tonight. I treat this as maybe a 1% to 2% opinion play, and that's the Cleveland Indians, minus $1.55 range at home, 7 Eastern against the Rangers. Bieber against Dunning on the mound. And, you know, the theme the last couple of nights has been play against bad teams. We played against the Angels Monday. We're on an 11-game losing streak. We played against the Royals last night on Tuesday, the worst team in baseball. Rangers are respectable 26-29, 13-13 on the road. But I still think they're one of the weaker teams in baseball. Meanwhile, the Indians 25-26, just 15-18 at home. The Guardians, Cleveland. But I think they're better than that. I think this is a team that has some upside here, especially in their current form. This team has won quietly 6 of their last 8 games straight up. They did win 6-3 against the Rangers on Monday. They lost 6-3 yesterday. This is now the rubber game, the final of the 3-game series. I think it's a good bounce-back spot for Cleveland. And I'm not going to jump on Texas after that win last night. This is a team that had still lost 5 of their previous 6 games beforehand. And keep in mind, they were no bigger. They were either favored or a $1.15 dog or smaller in all 6 of those games, and they went 1-5. So you always have to be careful with one-loss records in baseball because sometimes you're playing really good teams, but that wasn't the case. The Rangers were competitively priced in those games, and they lost 5 of the 6. I think that's always a bad sign. Meanwhile, Cleveland, as I said, is in good current form. I like the pitching matchup tonight as well. A lot of things working for us here. We'll take the Cleveland Indians as a short home favorite. I thought this line should have been about 180. Indians minus 155. Cleveland Guardians. I keep catching myself. I can't get used to the new name. Cleveland Guardians minus $1.55 goes at 7 Eastern tonight on Wednesday game. There's just a bit outside for making my best bet card. I do have strong baseball best bet and a 5% NBA game 3 best bet tonight for Wednesday. Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com. Back to you, my man, the Prez.
Steve Merrill, awesome stuff. Okay, brother. No Tony.
I hope he's all right.
Manishtana. For anyone who
This
knows
worries
what
me.
Manishtana means. Manishtana. So, what do you want to talk about?
Well, I'll tell you what, Prez. I will say this real quick. We always talk about Bitcoin. I didn't bring it up today because John Ryan reached out to me. We're going to do a financial show here afterwards around 1 Eastern through Sports Memo. We're going to talk a little bit more about it. But I thought of you again last night because Bitcoin went right above 31,000 and closed yesterday. And it had dropped down to 29 during the day and then closed all the way back up at 31. I really thought that could have maybe been the capitulation, the spike, the hammer is what that looks like. It's actually come back down to about 30 today. It's dropped about 1,000 since last night.
Yeah.
But man, I mean, this trading range, I know people keep hearing us talk about it. They probably don't care, but the trading range is insane. It's been like 20 days now that's in this range of like 29 to 31. I really still think if you're taking a long-term look, maybe it hits 25 or 28, maybe it crashes, but the risk reward is still tremendously good to the upside. For those that have been waiting to get into Bitcoin when it was 50 or 60, I still think now is a pretty good time over the next few weeks. So just keep an eye on that market. Very similar to the sports betting markets, but a different venue.
Yeah, you buy stock and all that as well? Are you a stock guy or you just give your money to a financial advisor?
No, I don't do any of that. I mean, I go my soapbox about financial advisors. Look, they serve a role for some people. I think the biggest role they serve for people is that they keep them from doing harm and they keep them from day trading and doing other things they shouldn't do. Same with the sports advisor, right? People could do the work we do if they had 8-10 hours a day to do it, right? But, people have 9-to-5 jobs. They don't focus on the markets, the sports betting markets like we do. That's why I think WagerTalk.com serves a tremendous role for recreational players that want a small edge or a bigger edge if they take it serious, shop around for line value. Same thing with financial advisors. They serve a role. For me, I manage my own money. I do a trend following method. Once again, I play non-correlated assets over 30 markets. I don't do individual stocks. I follow the equity markets as far as the indices, and I was short the S&P the last couple of months. That actually rolled over a few weeks ago. It's pretty neutral right now. I think that's another market that's in a sideways channel. The bottom line with stocks, though, Prez, is that, people think they're diversified because they own 30 different stocks. They're still 90% correlated, right? And when the market goes down, they all go down.
It all goes
Apple
down.
is a great company still, but it's gone down the last few weeks. They're not fundamentally weaker over the last 2 months. It's because people have to cover the other stocks with the good stocks, and that's how the markets work. So, yeah, I'm not a stock guy, but I'm not against it. But once again, I think there's better ways to make more money. And I don't like those 50% drawdowns. We've had 2 or 3 of them in the last 20 years. We've had a 20% one this year. A lot of downside risk people don't realize with the stock market long term. It's a moneymaker over 70 years, but in the short term, it can hit you still.
Steve, I had something to ask you. Oh, yeah. You know what I'm looking into? And I just recently, firstly, I told everybody I've been buying platinum for the last few months.
That spiked the other day, man. Man, that jumped the other day, huh? Do you see that?
Yeah. Yeah, but I think platinum is still a good buy. I think you should be. I think people, you need to be diversified. You bet on sports. You have your crypto. You have your mutual funds and your stocks, and you need your commodities as well.
Right.
But now I'm looking at REITs. I think it's a real interesting investment. What is happening in America and to a lesser degree in Canada is these venture capital funds, rich guys are pooling their money in. They're buying up as much real estate property as they can. And I think what we're seeing now is we're seeing the beginning of a rental era shaping up in front of us, where our parents and their parents all bought their houses. We were all told that the fiscal responsibility was to pay your house down as soon as humanly possible and get out from under a mortgage. We're seeing that shift. We are seeing a shift from where people are buying to people are renting. And all these VC firms that have come together, these rich people that have come together to pool their money to buy apartment buildings and complexes and duplexes and all of that. I think that is a great investment. If you can find somebody who's selling these REITs, these rental REITs, not only are you going to get your, ongoing monthly income, but you're also it's going to go up. Have you looked at any of that stuff?
Real estate's a big part of my portfolio, and it's something that's been good over the years. And one thing I will say about that real quickly is that these hedge funds aren't only buying apartments and condos. They're literally, at least in America, they're buying entire neighborhoods. And this is something that is really flown under the radar. And I've got mixed feelings on it. Like, I'm all for capitalism, but I also get a feeling this is going to really hurt the average American. The middle class is kind of getting wiped out in general with inflation, with all these businesses going under. And I don't know, we might look back on this in 20 or 30 years and realize this was something that was really changing bigger. Like you're saying, more than people are talking about. They're buying entire neighborhoods of like hundreds of houses, sight unseen, cash. It's strange. We'll see how it plays out. But it's something, once again, it is what it is. You got to keep an eye on it, and you got to take advantage of it if you can.
Yeah, Brandon Katz, anything I say he argues against. Prez doesn't understand this isn't the 1950s. REITs are trash. Brandon, this is not rocket science, man. Call a guy who runs a REIT fund, ask him to send you his, return on investment, and take a look. Like, make your own decision. Anytime a financial advisor reaches out to you to try to get you to give him your money, just ask to see what he's done every year. There's no argument here. You don't like the return on investment? Don't buy it. Anyway, Andrew McInnis joining us. Andrew, you, my friend, are just embarking on this whole investment strategy, et cetera, et cetera. You make most, but listen, man, all you got to do is bet your own NHL and forget about the markets.
Hey, hopefully that gets me one step closer to buying a house, Prez, because right now, as you mentioned, it's not too easy.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you're at least in Halifax. Jesus, man, there's not a house in the city of Toronto that you can buy for under $1 million. Not one single house. And city of Toronto holds 8 million people. So think about how many houses that is, and literally zero, no house in the city under $1 million.
Prez,
you could
the
buy
problem
Steve
right now in
Merrill's
Halifax
neighborhood for that.
The problem where I live, though, it's people from Ontario and people from BC coming that have just way more money because of the economy and taking homes from the resident Nova Scotians, right? And then it's just we're getting priced out. There's a trailer home that just went for $500,000 last week. My friend just got outbid by $150,000, and he's trying to buy a starter home with his fiance. It's just ridiculous right now. So at this point, I'm in no rush.
Yeah, exactly.
But real quickly, I mean, on that, if you don't think big picture something is wrong with either the financial system or the economy when that is happening, I'll just say be very cautious. This is why you got to be diversified, because something ain't right, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Andrew, don't rush to buy. Please don't rush to buy.
Yeah, don't buy into that price. Exactly.
Andrew, before we get into
it's
it,
like playing a
Steve,
point spread. It's like playing a point spread after it's moved 5 points, right? To bring it back to the sports betting analogy. I mean, it's like you can't, or like a baseball line, it's moved 30 cents, right? It's like sometimes you just miss the boat. You got to sit back on the sidelines and wait. This is like in 06, 07, Prez. Andrew, too young to remember, but real estate doubled and tripled, right? And then it came right back down when it crashed. I'm not saying it's going to crash again, but you just can't overpay, whether it's a sports bet or a financial investment. You got to get value. It all comes back to value, diversification, money management, right? Very similar. They rhyme.
Just to clarify, everybody, when we're talking REITs, at least from my perspective, I'm talking only in the residential market, not in the commercial market.
That's very important,
And
Prez.
I
was going
mentioned
to say that
at the
earlier.
top.
Yeah, I was going to
Steve,
say that earlier. I would
I
not.
talked about how we're not buying houses anymore. We're going from a buying house culture to a renting house culture. So, yeah, from a commercial perspective, REITs are a total disaster. From a
That's a good
residential
point. I mean, that's something I wanted to
perspective,
clarify. Yeah, because there are some commercial REITs out there. I'd be very careful with commercial real estate because I don't see that improving ever. And that's one of the reasons Halifax and Nova Scotia are going to be very expensive forever going forward, is because people can work from home. And why would you want to live in a big city like New York or Toronto when you can live on a lake, right, Prez? You like living on lakes. I mean, it's a very appealing concept that I think has changed since COVID.
I love living on a lake. I just don't. Andrew, let's go, man. UFC, Zhang versus Jedrid something or other. How you betting this game, this fight? And I know you've been killing it in the UFC.
Yeah, UFC has been great. Unfortunately, I'll be transparent. Last week I came on here, advertised my 5% play, which did win. However, the free play was on the over in that exact same fight. And the guy I wanted to win for my 5% won, but he won too soon. So that wasn't really good for the free play on the show. We'll try and get a winner here. Look, in this one, Joanna versus Zhang. Look, these two fighters have already fought recently, but they fought 2 years ago. And they went all 5 rounds, first meeting, exchanged over 350 combined strikes between these two. So I'm looking at Zhang by decision at plus 160 here. There's no worry for me as far as durability from each of these fighters. 77% of female strawweight fights have gone to the decision. It just, you look at the numbers here and you look at kind of the history, the last time these two fighters went against each other, Prez, and I don't really expect much of a different result. Then you take a look at Joanna, who hasn't fought in 2 years. That's got to be something that is a little worrisome for me. Albeit Zhang's off, some losses and stuff like that to Rose. It's tough competition. So, as much as I think Joanna is so talented with her striking and very technical, I think that we saw Zhang just be a very smart fighter, pick her spots. And I mentioned 350 combined strikes. Right now in the UFC, we're starting to see the judging not just be as much about the strikes, but about the significant strikes a lot more. You could pepper somebody with strikes, but if they weren't significant at all, it does not matter to the judges. And I think with Zhang, when she does make connections, she does make those significant strikes. So also another interesting stat here, the winner of the first fight has won over 70% of the time in these rematches. So I'm looking at Zhang by decision at plus 160.
Andrew, I want to ask
Steve,
you real
anything?
quick. I was just going to ask him real quick with UFC. If I'm not mistaken, before COVID, this wasn't really a weekly thing, right? I mean, it was spread out a little bit more. And it seems like now that they've gone to the weekly cards for a couple of years, have you noticed more advantages, less advantages? Is it easier to handicap? Obviously, more opportunities. Has it watered it down a bit? I mean, what's your thoughts overall on the current UFC and its beatability? Because I know you've done very well with it.
It's become very busy, Steve. And, I think that it gives you the ability to kind of map things out. We always talk about how with NBA, NHL, let's say MLB, you can predict a series or you can schedule ahead during the regular season. But with this, Steve, it's a little different than, a good scheduling spot in the NBA where you can kind of plan your research out and kind of pick your spots. And that's kind of what I've been able to do. So I have back-to-back 5% plays going here, Steve. This is a 5% play I have going for this week. I'm on a great run with those. 13-1 with the 5% and UFC plays. And this has been planned out for over a month now. You know what I mean? I've had this ready to go. I've had it planned. Yeah. This was going to be a 5% play. So that's the ability you have with these busy cards. But also you see some kind of get slipped under the radar. I don't always have my biggest fights on these big UFC 275 type of cards. You know, the UFC fight nights actually have been kind of where I've made the most of my money.
Right.
And Andrew McInnis, everyone. And guys, I really quick, some of you guys, and I know it's a very few of you, are like, why aren't you talking sports? Teddy would make Prez talk sports. And then, of course, Brian Wright smartly writes, G. Burnett writes, Teddy doesn't make Prez do anything. Correct. Guys, do I need to explain this to you again? This is a sports betting lifestyle show. If you people would have bought platinum the minute I mentioned buying platinum like 3 months ago, you would be up 20-something% on your money. Steve and I are honest to God, savvy investors. Like, I live in a $3 million home. I just bought an M50i. I have done very well in life, and it's not all from WagerTalk. If I breathe financial advice, you better suck in my air. So be happy that we're talking about this stuff, because frankly, Steve and I know what the hell we're talking about. Steve, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I'll be honest. We were going to cover some sports, and then I just briefly brought up Bitcoin, and we kind of ran with it because I know you and I really find it interesting. But there are correlations between the financial markets and the sports betting markets, and you've heard me tie them in as we've had these discussions today. So this isn't something it's not like we're talking about like scented candles or something unrelated to, sports betting. This is money management, discipline, human emotion, which dictates both markets. We talked about overpriced housing, overpriced baseball line. It's just, you can take the correlations is why you and I do very well in both markets, Prez. It's not a coincidence.
Yeah. And I'm like, in all seriousness, these guys, they're like, people should have a pen and paper when we discuss this stuff, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, Andrew McInnis asks me all the time, these type of investment pieces of investment advice. I'm a 53-year-old successful man. I'm giving out free investment advice. Okay. Andrew,
well,
CFL.
I just think that for people of my generation, Prez, the biggest problem is people don't like to ask advice. They like to think they know everything, and I think that sometimes a skill in life to have is to know what you don't know. I know that sounds so cliche and simple, but I called you about something 2 days ago, and I got the answer from you, and there we go.
Andrew, that is the very core of the success of WagerTalk, knowing what you don't know. I was incapable of executing and building WagerTalk to the monolithic company that it is. I had all these ideas, but I had to find people and put them around me that knew what I didn't know. Johnny Detroit, Marco D'Angelo, Kelly Stewart. Yeah, man, the smartest person in the world is the one who knows what they don't know. Steve, have you ever seen sun in your life?
Sun in your life? No. What are we talking about? What is that?
You are the palest guy I've ever seen in my life.
Where did that come
Andrew,
from, Prez? Come on, man.
First of all, Prez, that's actually, it must be the lighting or whatever, because I'm actually about as dark as I've been. I got extremely burnt the other week. I'm actually brown right now. So it's definitely the
Steve has great lighting. Steve has great lighting.
I'm definitely not pale. I'll tell you that much. I got too much sun the other week. In fact, more than I wanted. I don't need to be getting that much sun on my face since I was born in 1982, Prez.
Oh my God, you're young. CFL, Calgary, Montreal. Andrew, last year I released 7 CFL plays. I think I went 6-1. I basically just took the under at the beginning of the season on all these games. Talk to us about that, and also how do we bet this game? I know it goes tomorrow night.
Yeah, it's the first game of the season. I wanted to give some actionable info that would become, sooner than Saturday, but this game is obviously still tomorrow, not tonight. But, Prez, that was a great strategy, and I'm going to be right there with you, except for this game. So I think this is actually going to be the highest scoring game of the week, of week 1 here of the Canadian Football League. And you take a look at both teams here, taking a look at Calgary, lots of returning receivers, a strong offensive line, but a quarterback in Bo Levi Mitchell, who's been with the team for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Last year, he struggled and looked just not like himself. because first of all, it was just a very weird season in general with COVID and the scheduling and them trying to figure out their schedules when they're going to play. But he was banged up, Prez. And to me, they left him in there too long. The backup played well. They left him in there too long, and Bo Levi ended up getting more injured, and he just did not look like himself. But what he looks like when he is himself is a passer that likes to look downfield, a guy that likes to take shots, a guy that's a CFL quarterback that I think of when I think of the CFL. And he has lots of chemistry with his receivers. He knows his coaching staff very well, obviously. And you look at what they did in the preseason. Calgary looked like a team that's ready to go ahead and take back the West, because right now it has not been their league for a while. It's been the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. But Calgary looked great, putting up points in their preseason games. And Montreal, they're a team that has a great offense, but just a weak defense. I mean, I cannot look at a Montreal Alouettes game in the first couple weeks of this season and even see unders. They have a talented, offensive team. Look at Vernon Adams Jr. He now has Trevor Harris breathing down his back as a backup quarterback. So Vernon Adams will look to play very well as a starting quarterback for them. I also worry about some turnovers, and I'm curious what you guys have to say about this, actually, because I think that in this game in particular, turnovers could lead to points. I wouldn't be shocked to see a pick six in this game, a interception, in their own end type of thing. Sometimes turnovers might mean why would you like an over? But for me, I think the fact that we could see some of those could benefit some points here. But I like the over 47.5 in this contest here, Prez. And I do have a play up on all three of the other games. I also have two best bets, 2 4% plays you can grab at WagerTalk.com, and you can use promo code WEEK69 to get a week of my plays for $69.
Prez, I had to turn the ring light off a little bit just to show you that I am not pale. See? I'm brown now.
Yeah.
It's all lighty.
A little bit of color.
We'll go with that. We'll go with that.
Andrew, real quick. I know we got to get you out of here, but just real quick, 30 seconds. How differently do you handicap the CFL versus NFL college football? Give me a couple takeaways for people that aren't familiar with the CFL. I mean, I know they got the 1-point rouges, which are very common, much bigger field, more offensively oriented, 3 downs. But as a handicapper, what's the biggest difference maybe compared to when you're handicapping the NFL or the college football?
Well, it might sound cliche because everybody says this about the CFL, but I mean, let's face it, Steve, everyone loves to bet the NFL, but isn't it one of the sharpest markets? Isn't it what the odds makers spend the most time on? With the CFL, I had a little bit of a down year last year, Steve, but that was to me because a lot of times the lines came out on the day of the games. Now this year with the normal schedule, we're kind of back to some more normalcy. We're going to start seeing the lines come out on Monday or Tuesday. And I'm telling you, I mean, both of you guys could look at these openers on Monday morning and figure out what's going to move. I tell my clients, if you don't want to buy a full season, that's all right. Buy the week at least. That way you're not going to wake up Saturday morning looking for my CFL doubleheader plays, and the total will be off by 3 or 4 points, or the side be different by 3 or 4 points. I think the numbers move big time here, and it really takes a long time, Steve, for the odds makers to change their thought process on a team. A good example of that is with the Ottawa Red Blacks last season. They were a struggling team, and the odds makers just really liked them more than I did for several weeks, and you can take advantage of these really soft numbers.
Andrew McInnis, everyone. John Clark writes, he loves when youngsters like Andrew are killing it as a professional capper. Hats off, brother. And I agree, Andrew. I get a lot of nachas from your success. Guys, Andrew's got a 5%. Yeah, I know you don't know what that word means. That's okay. Andrew's got a 5% UFC play up. He is 11-3 in his last 14 UFC 5% plays. So make sure to take advantage of that. Andrew, we got to let you go. Thanks for joining us, brother. Steve, it's time for the daily presidential address. Welcome, everybody, to the daily presidential address. Great show, Wager Talk today. We had Kelly Stewart come on, really do a deep dive into the NBA game tonight. Andrew McInnis as well, talked some UFC and some Canadian football. And Steve and I spoke a lot about investing. We spoke about mutual funds, platinum, crypto, real estate REITs. So it was a fun show. So make sure to check it out over at our YouTube channel, Wager Talk TV. Guys, yesterday we won the first leg of our rollover. We took $20. We bet it on the Blue Jays. Now we are going to take the entire amount, and I think it was minus 140, so you should be somewhere around $32, $34. We're going to take the entire amount. We're going to put it on the Blue Jays. Hey, why not? I mean, you got Kikuchi on the mound. He's playing Singer. Kikuchi had a bad outing last time. I think he'll bounce back. Kansas City is horrific. This team can't score. The Blue Jays bats are alive. We know they're going to put up more than 5 runs tonight. Take the Blue Jays on the money line in our rollover play, minus 133. And again, Steve and I have been talking about this all week. Throw a small amount on the Blue Jays, minus 2.5 as well. Steve Merrill, that's the show, brother. I don't yet know what I'm eating today. Take us home.
I always like to know what you're eating, man. It makes me hungry to hear it, so you got to text me afterwards. Great show today. We'll be back tomorrow, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, live here on Wager Talk TV for Wager Talk Today every Monday through Friday. Don't forget MLB First Pitch, 1:45 Eastern today. Also, NBA tip-off for Game 3 of the NBA Finals, 4:15 Eastern tonight, both here on Wager Talk TV. You can catch everything on a replay 24/7. Don't forget to subscribe. Almost 100,000 subscribers here on Wager Talk TV. Thank you for your support. If you haven't hit that bell for instant alerts, make sure you do that as well. Give it a thumbs up, like the show, and comment below. Let me and Prez know if you want some financial talk, if you hated it, if you loved it, if you have any questions. If you want more financial info, John Ryan and I'll be doing a show here in a few minutes at Sports Memo as well. Have a great Wednesday. Enjoy the games tonight. We'll be back tomorrow, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Best of luck. Catch you soon here on Wager Talk TV.
Why pay the regular price when you can save money on every purchase with WagerBooks at both WagerTalk and Sports Memo? WagerBooks are now eligible for use on not just daily, 3-day, and 7-day passes, but all long-term and seasonal packages up to 1 full year. There are tons of options available for every budget and size of bettor. From low as $100 gets $110, all the way up to $2,500 gets you $3,000. Save every day on every pick you buy